Hi everyone, welcome to Carmen's Australian Storytime. Today I'm reading from a beautiful location thanks to a beautiful friend of mine. We are staying at Tamansari Private Pavilions and the view off the balcony is so beautiful and full of trees. So I thought I would read a book about trees, a Dr Seuss book about trees. And it's called I Can Name 50 Trees Today. I think there's more than 50 behind me, different types of trees. Let's see what the blurb has to say. I'm the cat in the hat, and I want you to please take a few moments to look at the trees. Join the cat in the hat as he introduces young readers to the wonderful world of trees. Trees are an artist's favourite thing because every tree is like its own little art piece. They're all so unique and so beautiful. Got my mozzie coil behind me today because where there's trees, there's bugs. And there are quite a few bugs. But we need the bugs, so it's a good thing. I'm the cat in the hat, and I want you to please take a few moments to look at the trees. If you pay close attention, you might get to exclaim, there are 50 trees, I bet I can name. I wonder if you can. A tree is a plant with a stem made of wood. Do you know what a stem is? A trunk. Very good. Some trees grow to 10 or 20 feet high. Some grow till their tops scrape the clouds in the sky, a bit like the ones behind me. A tree in Australia, the land that's down under, stands 492 feet tall. Oh my, what a wonder. I'm going to show you this tree behind me at the end, and I'll show you where it starts and where it finishes, because I'm sitting right in the middle of the tree trunk. The branches grow upward, the roots they grow down. The branches and leaves are what we call the crown. Some crowns are like cones, like this cute little fella. Some crowns match the shape of my nifty umbrella. Rhyming book. Some, like this willow, drop down to the ground. That's one of my favourites. Some, like this apple tree, are nearly round. I'd say this white oak is as wide as it's tall, while this pine doesn't have low branches at all. We have lots of pine trees around here, and yeah, they usually don't have low branches. Branches are up high. Let's look at the roots. We will speak of them first. They hold the tree up. They help quench its thirst. They draw water up, and science has found they even draw minerals out of the ground. Nearly 400 feet deep grow the roots of this fig that's almost as deep as this oil drilling rig. We have lots of fig trees in Australia, and yes, their root systems are very deep, and sometimes the roots grow above the ground. You can climb all over them. The trunk and the branches, the leaves and the shoots bring water and minerals up from the roots. The leaves then pull off one tremendous feat. Did you hear that? Tremendous instead of tremendous. They whip up the food that the tree needs to eat. They mix water up with rays from the sun, add carbon dioxide, and when the leaf's done, it gives off the oxygen we need to survive. It's a gift from the trees that keeps us alive. So we definitely need them, lots of them. Here's a fast grower this will surely amaze ya. Over 1 inch each day, this tree grows in Malaysia. While way up in Canada, a 4-inch slowpoke is 155. I tell you, no joke. 155 years, and it's only grown 4 inches. That is the slowest growing tree I've ever heard of. Some leaves are so simple, one leaf to each stem. while others have leaflets growing on them. Some leaves grow on stems in these neat little pairs. Some others you'll find grow unpaired on theirs. So some of them are two together, a bit like a holly leaf, I guess, and some are individual. Whorled leaves grow around a tree's branch in a ring. Some leaves are sharp-toothed, others smooth. That's the thing. And it is such an art piece, a tree, because the bark is like a piece of art because there's all different textures and designs, and then the leaves are all different shapes and different textures. Like your ears, some have lobes, which means, these are the lobes where my earrings are, which means that they are shaped a lot like your hand or a mitten or star. Oh, sassafras, that's Mr. Jones' favourite tree. Mine's always the gum tree, always, no matter which one. Bark does for a tree what your skin does for you, stops the weather, the bugs, and the germs getting through. The bark of the redwood you have to admire. It's 2 whole feet thick and protects it from fire. I didn't know that. That is very thick. The bark of this tree is what has made it famous. Shagbark hickory is what this shaggy tree's name is. A neat trick a friend of mine just showed to me is to find out the age of a once living tree. So you can do this if you find this when you're going on a bushwalk, a tree that's fallen down in the forest. A new ring is added with each living year. Let's count up the rings in this stump over here. Good luck with that. Look how many rings it has. So many rings. A year that has rain leaves a ring that is thick. This thin ring means drought, or our poor tree was sick. So thick rings is healthy, and skinny tiny rings is sick or drought, which means no rain. We've counted and we'll share our answer with you. It's 67. Did you find this was true? Oh, see if you can have a go. I get dizzy just looking at that. But see if they're right. Can you count 67? The oldest tree ever, and this one is fine, might be 4,700 years old, a bristle-cone pine. They're not sure. That's very old, isn't it? There are all types of trees, but of course you knew that. One has needle-shaped leaves or scales that are flat. Its seeds come in pine cones, so let's be exact and say it's a conifer. Yes, that's a fact. Pine cone trees we call them, but yes, their technical name is conifer. The eastern red cedar, the sargent cypress, the juniper, the arborvitae, and the scale-leafed tree. Look at all those different types. So many. Another type, broadleaf, you've probably seen in the autumn turning colours and losing its green. The seeds from these trees come in nuts that are hard or in soft or dry fruits, like in Sally's backyard. She's got a lot of trees. And they're raking up all the leaves. That's a good thing to do. And then there are palms. They grow where it's warm. We have those, don't we? Especially at the beach. With leaves like a feather or a fan-like in form. The world's largest seed from the cocoa de mer weighs 50 whole pounds. Things you'd better beware. Forget not the lily trees lovely to see, like this king of the desert, the Joshua tree. It's a beautiful tree too. If you ever get burned, then you had better go get the leaf or the juice that we call aloe. I have that growing in my garden too. If someone gets sunburnt, you can snap the leaves off and use the juice on your skin, and it will help cool and ease the burning. The tree fern is oldest, and what is more, it doesn't have seeds. Instead, it has spores. The tree fern fares better in much warmer weather. This tree is rather short, with a leaf like a feather. The cycad is old, and for what it is worth, there were cycads when dinosaurs once roamed the earth. It looks like a palm, but a palm it is not. How long is its cone? 3 feet long. That's a lot. So it does look a bit like a palm, but it's usually spikier, and it does take a lot longer to grow. The tree called the ginkgo we've saved for the last. The first one grew 250 million years in the past. I don't know about that. Do you think trees are that old? One thing that I think you should know about ginkgo, its fruit doesn't smell good. In fact, it smells stinko. Yep, look at them holding their noses. Get yourself a blank book to press leaves that you find. Glue them onto the pages. Your mother won't mind if you ask her. Note the tree's bark and the shape of the crown. Note the shape of the leaves and then write it all down. I wonder if you could do that in your backyard. How many different types of trees can you identify? Or maybe at school. You could walk around the school and see how many different types of trees do we have at school. Take a look at this book or get a tree guide. Match up your leaves to the pictures inside. You could even do rubbings. If you find leaves on the ground and put them under the pages and then rub your lead pencil over the top, you'll get a rubbing which will show you the shape and the texture of the leaf. Write down the tree names and learn them by heart. This book contains 50, and that's a great start. You could even use this book to identify some of them. Knowing trees' names, my dear Miss and dear Mister, is like knowing the name of your brother or sister. We can't have enough of these wonderful trees. So when you see bare spots, what do you think they're going to say? Make a prediction. Go plant a tree, please. They're planting another one. Yep, my garden is so full. If I could plant trees as well, I would definitely, but I have to go for shrubs that are a bit smaller. There they go, planting another tree. Now, this is the glossary. The glossary is going to explain some of those tricky words that you might have heard me say in the book. Like a drought. I told you that a drought is a time when there's no rainfall and it's difficult for plants and animals because they need the water. The germs, they're tiny living things too small to see with the naked eye that can cause sickness or disease. Then there's the heartwood, the innermost part of the trunk of a tree which no longer carries sap. The lobes are the curved edges, such as on leaves that stick out. The minerals are natural substances found in the ground that plants absorb to keep them grow strong and big. Quench is to bring to an end, as in to quench your thirst by taking a drink. The sapwood is the soft living part of the trunk of a tree which lies between the inner bark and the heartwood. And the tiny grains are spores that given off by plants or trees that make new plants. A bit like coral in the ocean, it spores as well, and it sends out all these tiny, tiny, tiny little grains that go and start new coral, and are hauled, spiraling out from a central point. World. Even I have trouble pronouncing some of these words, but I love learning new words. How about you? Adding them to your dictionary up here. Thank you for joining me on Carmen's Australian Storytime. Before we go, I'm going to show you how tall this tree is. Let me see if I can get it in the camera here. So it goes right up to the sky. Out there, I'm having to lean out over the veranda. And then it goes all the way down, 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 down to, if I step back a bit, terrible camera work. And that's how tall that tree is. That's a pretty tall tree, right? Thank you for joining me on Carmen's Australian Storytime. I look forward to reading to you again soon. Don't forget to click and subscribe. Bye for now.